Welcome back to Money Talk with Dad. Or is it Money Talks with Dad? I always forget.
I don't know. I just know that I'm talking to you and your dad.
That's right. Okay. We'll do it. Either way, we left it last time where we started to get into a deeper topic because for the last 2 episodes, we've talked about, well, hey, if this expense comes up, just put money over in this bucket and do this thing and this thing. And you brought up, you're like, well, Dad, what if I don't have any extra money?
Yeah, we're raising the budgets, but what if we're not raising the income?
Yeah, the magic money tree is not like, dropping money on us.
Yep.
And, unlike, Dave Ramsey, we're not going to just be like, sell all of your stuff and get a third job. And, because there's been times like in our life and we were living paycheck to paycheck and like I had no free time to go get yet another job.
Right.
And I would even say, well, if I drive for Uber, and then Mom was like, well, when would you ever sleep?
Right.
There was like nighttime tax work I could have been doing for people. And she's like, you can't work, 18 hours a day.
Right.
Your family requires you. So what we wanted to switch to is because, Dave Ramsey has a good heart, I guess. He's made a lot of money doing this. So I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
He's always been like, well, just sell everything, make more money, cut down to things. Well, we want to be more logical.
Yeah.
And so what we said last time is, well, let's start determining needs versus wants.
Yes.
Because there's things you just can't cut out. There's needs.
Right.
And, what do you think some of those needs are?
Well, food.
Yep.
Food
we have
one.
to eat.
Gotta eat. Let's say, what is it? Food, shelter, clothing, right?
Yeah. And we've talked about it's a total segue. You can tell we don't outline this. So keep me on track if you can.
I'll try.
2 ADD people trying to
We'll try
do
to
a
make
podcast.
it work.
But we've talked, I believe it was in episode 1, about how the Lord will provide.
Yes.
And that is one thing we did talk about, that really, if you have food, clothing, and shelter, you're taken care of. You're actually rich. I forget the statistics, but you're richer than like 80 or 90% of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the United States, we have a much higher standard of living. But so, yeah, your needs were food, clothing, and shelter.
Yeah.
But from there, it's like, what types of food?
Right.
What types of shelter? What types of clothing?
Yeah. And I mean, you brought up Dave Ramsey earlier. What's his thing? Rice and beans?
Yeah, rice and beans and rice. And technically, I guess you could live on that.
Yeah. I know every child I've ever met, though, is like, oh, please tell me we're having rice and beans again for dinner tonight.
Right. They would totally understand.
They would totally want that, yeah.
Yeah. Especially your children.
Oh, I know. Yeah, my kids, all about it. All about it. The one that doesn't like rice and the other one that doesn't like beans.
Although I think one could live on top ramen.
Oh, she would thrive on top ramen. She would thrive.
She'd be, the massive cholesterol at age 10, but she'd be fine.
She would be so happy.
Yeah. And I think that's where Dave Ramsey goes wrong, though, is the idea is great. Yeah, beans and rice are cheap.
Absolutely.
But we as humans have needs for a little variety. We have needs for, maybe some protein.
Yeah.
I know beans supposedly have protein, but your stomach may not like those a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you ate that, I can imagine eating that every day. And
yeah. Well, and I think also on top of that is like, as people, we don't always want to feel or even think about the fact that we are restricting ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that, yes, it's good to be disciplined and things like that, but we don't always want to feel like every moment of every day, every meal of every day is like, oh, we just have to find the cheapest alternative, right? I remember growing up when money was tighter, we would go out. Mondays?
Yep.
Kids eat free on Mondays, right?
Kids eat free at Denny's on Monday nights. And that was our splurge to keep you guys, give you a little variety, give you guys a sense of, hey, we can eat out too, just like all the other kids.
Right, exactly.
But we did it as a family, and then we had 4 young children, and they had the rules that you got 2 free kids meals for every adult entree.
Okay.
Do you remember the asterisks? Drinks not included. So what drinks did you guys get?
Water, wasn't it? Yep,
water.
just gotta have water. Yep. Yeah, but that was nice because you were letting us have this fun experience, right? But you're being wise about it.
Yeah.
I know, like, I sometimes I want to give the kids the whole world. Like, I want to give them literally anything they want. I cannot go to a single store. They will find something that they want. And I'm like, I'll make it happen, kiddo. Like, even if it's just the most little nothing toy or snack or whatever. I hate telling them no, and I know that's a problem, but it is what it is, right? But so as a parent, when that is what you want to do, I think that it's really easy to be like, I'll just make it work in the budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I am very blessed that Dustin's able to make that happen. It's a topic of conversations.
Yes.
But I like the way that you guys were able to do that, but still be financially responsible.
Right. Yeah, and it, for us as parents who were always constantly worried about money,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time, so this was early 2000s.
Yeah.
I talked about other episodes where your mom actually could do a grocery list based on the menu, and we would plan out our menu for the month.
Yeah.
And she would know, okay, well, this meal costs $12.
Mm-hmm.
This meal only costs $7.
What meals cost $7 and $12 today, Dad? Because sign me up for those meals.
Helper.
Helper,
which was one of our
staple,
meals.
Yes.
We couldn't afford the hamburger, so hamburger helper was just helper.
Just Helper.
Which, for a family of 6, 4 very
Yeah.
little ones, it was, I think even now it might be $7. But, obviously there's inflation now, but
Yeah.
at the time, 2 adult entrees
Mm-hmm.
was about $15, $16 at Denny's.
Yeah.
So the family of 6 could eat out for $15 or $16, which was just slightly above the average meal cost. If we were going to have a meal with protein and vegetables and things like that, it cost us around $15 to $16. So
Yeah.
we were treating you guys, but also being like, cool, we get them out of the house, we give them a little break on things, and it kind of became like a family thing of like, sweet, it's Monday.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember it. That's one of the things that I do remember was we got to go do that.
Yeah.
So.
And you got breakfast, you got dinner, you got whatever you wanted.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like, I can have pancakes for dinner tonight?
That's right.
Sign me up.
Which was one of the, I think for now you could probably do pancakes for $7 or less.
Ah, sweet.
That's rather than rice and beans. It's not as healthy. But that was one thing we used to do was pancake mix.
Mm-hmm.
That we always kept it on hand for that last week of the month when money was tight.
Yep.
It was like, and we talked about last time, unexpected items came up. It's like, well, at least we have pancakes. Hey guys, breakfast for dinner.
That's right.
And I think just making it fun for kids.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to feel the financial stress.
Mm-hmm.
We did talk about money personalities and things like that, but
Yeah.
Just trying to, depending on their age and personality, you can let them know, like you've done with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if we did this, we can't do gymnastics, or we can't.
Right. Yeah.
But they shouldn't have to feel stress all the time. Like, well, we're
Mm-hmm.
out of money. How are we going to eat tonight?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if anything, I've almost with the older one. Okay, she's so sweet. We went to gymnastics last night, and she said, "Can we go get? I want to get a blue frozen Fanta at McDonald's after this." And I was like, "Well, one, that's a lot of sugar right before bed, girlfriend." But I talked about it to her, and I was kind of like, "Well, we could either do that, or we could save that money and put it towards one of her more recent hobbies is trying to learn how to cross stitch with me,
Oh, that's
right?
right.
So I said, well, we could do that, or we could save that money for the $10 towards a Happy Meal or whatever, right? And I was like, and when we go to Michael's later this week, we can get you another cross stitch kit, right? And she was like, oh, I'll just go home and have ramen. So, so we did. We went home and we had ramen instead because it's just her favorite meal, honestly. But the little one, I've almost gone the opposite direction with him, which maybe it's because of his age difference, right?
And he's the baby.
And he's the baby, exactly. And so last night we were being silly and kind of going back and forth and saying, I think he said, I want to read 3 books tonight. And I was like, buddy, we don't have time. It was a late bedtime, right? I was like, we've only got time for 2 books tonight. But he's doing this thing where he's like, I want XYZ instead of like asking for it, right? So the way that Dustin and I have been combating that is by saying, well, I want, and we just start listing off things that we want, right?
Yeah.
And so he knows that, so one of the things that he said, right? He goes, well, I want my own phone. And I was like, oh, okay. I was
3.
like, he's 3, yeah. And I was like, well, I want a new car. And he goes, Mommy, you get me my own phone. I'll order you that.
I'll just buy it.
He said, yeah, I'll just get on my real phone and I'll order it for you.
Because he sees mommy and grandma and papa. Like,
just, oh, you want that? And then we get on our phone and we
Yeah.
order. We hop on Amazon or whatever, right? So he thinks oh, I just have to get a phone and then I can order it for you. And so I said, you're going to order it for me, baby? He was like, yeah, mommy, I'll just order you a new house or whatever it was. Right. And it was really, really cute.
You can buy houses on your phone. He's seen you looking at houses.
That's true.
Which I think maybe next time we'll talk about houses. I know we keep
housing, yeah.
readjusting, but
yeah,
it's funny because literally the same thing. We were on our camping trip and oh, Papa, I want that. And it was one of those little electric motorcycles.
Oh, yeah.
And even though we had literally just got him his first real bike that looks like a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, Blakey, you have a motorcycle. He goes, well, I want that one. I said, well, I kept trying to reason with a 3-year-old.
Right, which is always successful.
And I said, well, I don't know if I could find one. He goes, just get your phone and buy it.
Yeah, just find it on
your
phone.
So it's amazing, even in your childhood, that was not such a thing. Internet shopping was around, but it wasn't like next day delivery.
Right.
You still had to physically go to the store. And now little 3-year-olds are just like, grab your phone and buy it. Yeah. I want this. And sometimes I even think as adults, we're kind of like that.
100%.
Because we can get it on our phone.
Yeah.
Do you have any strategies that, especially because it is so easy to order things, besides just saying, hey, Mom, I could really use this?
Something that Dustin and I do is we use Notion, right? Mm. And so one of the pages on our Notion we have, and it's like, want to buy. It's just like, this is my list of things that I want to buy, and I'll put it in there. And part of that also, I have like a subsection of like, want to buy, would really like it this month or like next month, right? And so sometimes just keeping it on the want to buy list will be like, okay, I have now kind of like satiated that desire to go and buy it, right? And I'm like, well, now it's on my list. It's on my list of things that I want to buy, and I'll come back to it, right? And then that'll give me time sometimes to think it through and be like, oh, actually, maybe I don't need it.
Yeah.
Maybe I actually is not really much of a thing that I really want to spend that much money on it, right? Or 2, gives me time. I do think about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I do actually really want it. And then when the budget resets or whatever the next month, then it's there, and Dustin can use that list in Notion when he's doing the budget for the month.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I've heard other people, it doesn't work for me because Amazon's gotten smart to it, in that I'll put it in my cart and then save for later.
Oh, yeah.
But then they start sending you notifications like, hey, this just dropped by 20 cents.
Oh, I know. Yes.
And so I had to stop doing that because I'm like, because it kept being a reminder, and they're smart. They know human psychology of they're going to catch you when you're tired or when you're like, oh my gosh, I want to save $2.
Right. Exactly.
And you order it. And so that it becomes dangerous. So I like your way of keeping a list. Your mom uses Apple Notes, kind of the same way of, things I would like to have. And then plus it's nice for Christmas, birthdays, and things like that. We have that shared list because, as you guys know, with your mom and probably me too, we might just decide to buy it. And then what do you get us for Christmas? And that's why Courtney got me this awesome Hydro Jug.
Is that why you got your Christmas present in September?
Yes.
She knew very well that you were going to probably just buy your own before Christmas.
And last Christmas it was a popcorn maker because Mom started talking about it, and you guys freaked out and said.
Yes, we were like, we need to get, we had already bought it. We were like, we need to actually just give it to them because they're going to just buy their own.
Which is something, and we always say we're blessed. We could have worked as hard as we did and never had any extra income.
Right.
And so we always try to, keep a focus on that. And what we want to do is help people who were in our situation for a really long time, really until the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
6 kids, paycheck to paycheck. Like it's hard.
Yeah.
And so we've lived that. And so we want to give people advice on that. But it's fun for your mom who's been so tight on budget.
Yeah.
To finally let her have a few more of her wants that she's delayed for 21, 22 years.
Yeah.
But it's we definitely have compassion for people, and that's one reason we're doing this is
absolutely
everybody's in a different situation.
Yeah.
So kind of going back, food, that's obviously our biggest need. Everybody has to eat.
Yeah.
Everybody needs nutrition.
Next one I had on my list.
Well, we're not done with food yet. Because I see something where there's always a debate in your house.
Listen, it's not a want, it's a need, okay? For some reason, Dustin seems to think that my iced coffee from Dunkin is a want. And I'm just like, listen,
Does he make you iced coffee like that at home?
that's irrelevant. It's not the same coffee. Okay, listen, it's actually technically the same. It's not made the same as it is in the
Does it
store.
taste better in that clear?
It tastes
cup
way
with
better
the
in
orange
this
letters?
cup. No,
What'd you get today? The usual.
listen, it's just mostly sugar. Let's be so real, okay? It's technically coffee, but it's mostly sugar. It's just my hazelnut iced coffee. Dustin, it is a thing though. He's like, to the point where I will have to tell myself, I'm like, I can only get this many iced coffees per month. Well, I like to break it down per week, so that way I'm like, oh, this week I usually try to stick to 2 per week. It doesn't always happen. But that way I can try to keep it within the budget. But I will say what's tricky is that as a stay-at-home mom, when I go get my iced coffee, the kids can't go through the drive-thru without getting their
also
own
donuts.
Exactly. We pulled up this morning. I was not planning on getting donuts for myself. I wasn't planning on getting donuts for the kids. I was like, but I'm going to need my iced coffee because I'm leaving the house before 9 a.m. I'm getting a coffee. Like, that's just happening.
That's your reward.
That's my reward for, I got us all out the house on time, right? And so I did it right. We're pulling into just the little plaza, and it's got a Dunkin', it's got a Domino's, it's got a couple little things in there, right? And we're pulling that way, and one of the kids is like, donuts. And I was like, well, I mean, it was actually just coffee today, sorry.
You would have a miserable day.
I would have a miserable
I will
day.
say their munchkins are phenomenal.
They're delicious.
Like,
are you kidding me? To be clear, I could not say no. I ended up getting him donuts, and then I couldn't tell myself no. I was like, well, if I'm getting him donuts,
yeah,
I want donuts.
So technically not a need.
Technically
but you guys,
not a need.
and again, you're a little bit better off than you were early in your marriage.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know we're posting this late, but happy anniversary.
Thanks.
But early in your marriage, well, first of all, we were in Tucson, where your mom lived in Rhode Island for a while.
Yeah.
And she was like Dunkin' everywhere.
Right.
And we had maybe 2 or 3 Dunkins in Tucson.
I think so.
And she was just like, this is fantastic. So I blame her for, getting us addicted to Dunkin'.
Listen, Dunkin' is such a crucial part of my life. I will remind you, it's where I was proposed to.
That's true. Because our Sunday morning need.
It's a Sunday morning need and
was
has
stop
been
at
forever.
Dunkin'.
That's right.
And so your husband, boyfriend at the time proposed.
Boyfriend at the time. Yep. He sneaky surprised
Yeah.
me. He was in cahoots with Courtney and snuck up behind me at a Dunkin'
That's right,
and
at a
proposed.
Dunkin'.
It was very
he knew
sweet.
the way to your heart.
He did. It was through a donut.
But and try to remember, we'll come back to that ring.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about that
Oh, yes.
later.
Absolutely.
Because I guess it's not even, I don't even know what category it comes in, but we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah.
But for people on a tight budget,
Mm-hmm.
and I know Courtney did this because her boyfriend and fiance and now husband,
Yeah.
he loved his gourmet coffees.
Yep.
And what was he spending? $5-6 a day? So
Something
Courtney's like,
like
it was
that.
a waste of money.
She's not a coffee girl.
and so we actually, he got us hooked on snobby coffee, including ground Dunkin' beans was
Bougie.
so good. But you start to realize you can take care of your need for coffee, your need for Dunkin',
Yep.
but maybe find ways to cut costs. And
Yeah.
and it was really during COVID that we started grinding our own beans from Dunkin'. And figuring out ways that we can brew it, and discovered cold brew, and
Yeah.
so things like that, where there are compromises you can make. Maybe get a hydro jug to
Yeah,
keep
there
it
you go.
cold all day, because if you put your cold brew in there, it's gonna be cold all day. If you put your
100%.
hot coffee, it's
Yeah.
gonna be hot all day.
Listen, I first got a hydro jug because I was determined I would be more hydrated, and I want you to know, within a week, I was putting my iced coffee in there, and it was great.
All day long,
It
cold
literally
iced
did. It
coffee.
stayed cold
Yeah.
all day. It was great.
But what we want to get at is, we don't want to be like, no, you can never have coffee again.
Right.
No, you can't splurge on Dunkin' when maybe you're out and about, but
Yeah.
find ways to save money.
Yeah.
And you can still get the coffee and grounds and make it at home,
Yeah.
and do things like that. I don't know how you replicate munchkins. Those things,
Listen, you
But-
can't. You can't do it, Dad.
maybe stop driving by Dunkin' and your kids will get used to it. But
Yeah.
or make it the special treat,
Yeah.
whatever. Find things like that. Use the apps.
Yep.
just find compromises. Don't restrict yourself completely, but find compromises on food things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's probably, number one need is food.
Yep.
Clothing is it's a tough one, because
It is.
technically, as long as you have really an outfit that's clean and that you can go to work in,
Yep.
you have clothing.
Right.
As Americans, that's clearly not something
Yeah.
we would be happy with. I don't even know what Dave Ramsey says on clothing. Probably thrift store, which isn't
probably.
bad.
No,
we did that.
Listen, I love a thrift store. You can find some cute stuff in a thrift store.
Like, your guys' allowance was
Yeah.
so small. And I mean, I remember straight A rewards was you got one outfit.
Yep.
And it had to be from Ross.
Oh, I remember these straight A rewards. I was not a straight A student, all right? So I remember tagging along to the straight A rewards.
With Courtney.
But I love shopping. I loved being her personal shopper and helping her find all the cute outfits. It was still fun, yeah. But
we didn't have a lot of money, but we were like,
exactly.
okay, we can go to Ross and get one outfit.
Yep.
And I mean, to this day, I still it's almost like a hunt.
Exactly.
And I think
it's a
TJ
challenge.
Maxx around here.
Yeah,
there's
there's
more
TJ
Maxx. Is that kind of the same thing?
Yeah. And Marshalls, yeah.
So stores like that, where it's just like, hey, here's all these things we couldn't sell in the regular store, and it's gonna be super cheap. Like, it's when you have a little bit of need for clothing, like whenever she needed things for FBLA, or you needed new clothes for work.
Yep.
That was our first stop.
100%. Why would I go somewhere and spend more money to get something when I could go somewhere to a different store for less money? Like, to me, that's just common sense. I don't know. Maybe that's just because we grew up with less money, but it doesn't make sense that I would go to like the Nike store when I could first go to like a Walmart or something, I will say with kids, it's so frustrating because they grow and so you buy them clothes, they wear it once and then they don't fit in it anymore.
Yeah.
I have found a couple stores where it's almost I don't even know what it's called, but words. I think it's called Kid to Kid, and it's in Mechanicsville, right? I don't know if there's other stores like it, but basically it's super, super cheap clothing. It's clothing that they just didn't get sold. I think it's basically Ross, but it's for kids clothing.
Kids. Interesting.
It's super, super. I think I got her like the t-shirts are like $2. I'm like, that's cheaper than Walmart.
Yeah.
Sign me up. So that's where we'll go. But that took some looking around. It took, because it's the one place that I have found close to my house that is like that. So,
but finding things like that, and then it's hard to talk to kids, especially earlier and earlier they're getting social media and they're seeing all these other things and getting just bombarded with advertising and explaining to them. And we talked last time or 2 times ago about money personalities and of our twins, the spender was always Mr. Name Brand.
Yes.
So that's where Ross or TJ Maxx came in nice, because we're like, well, here's your budget. You can get 3 shirts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he could get his name brands, and people wouldn't know it was from TJ Maxx or Ross.
Yep.
Whereas his brother, the Saver, the first year we were on the East Coast, we didn't really have summer camps in Tucson. You guys were year-round school anyways. And
right.
We couldn't afford them back then, but we started looking at these summer camps, and they weren't that expensive, for the time. And we're like, they're going to go to camp and lose all their clothes.
Right.
So we went to Walmart, and it's probably with inflation more than, but they have that rack of $3 t-shirts, that table. We're like, cool, we'll grab one of every color. Yep. Oh, $3 shorts, one of every color.
Yep, absolutely.
And then like the spender was just like, hey, brother, you can have all these clothes after camp. And he's like, sweet, okay. Like that personality.
He wore those for so long.
Until we said, buddy, it's like a crop top.
It's a crop top, my guy. You're gonna want to find a new shirt that fits you properly.
School pictures were the same Walmart shirt.
Yes.
But it's, again, it's personality. We can try to breed that into our kids of, it's not about the brand. It's not about that. Right. I don't know if you remember, back in Tucson, we were in an apartment, and again, we'll talk about housing and stuff another episode, but we wanted to be in the best school district.
Yeah.
We could not afford to buy a house in the best school district. So we went to an apartment. Again, 6 of us in a 3-bedroom tiny apartment.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it had 2 bathrooms.
Yeah.
But we wanted to be in the best school district.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if even know Courtney remembers this, but I remember her going to preschool. First day of school, we had let you guys all go to Target, which was a splurge for us.
That was a splurge, yeah.
Target's more expensive than Walmart.
Yep.
And pick out your outfit for school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was her money from her allowance.
Yep.
And she was so excited about it.
Yeah.
And she came home from school crying. And we're like, what is wrong? And she said, the kids were making fun of me because I got my clothes at Target. We're like, what? I mean, you go in this parking lot and Mercedes, BMWs, Escalades, we way above our income.
Yes.
But again, we wanted the best school district. And I was like, well, first of all, how does she know it's from Target? Because that means you are in Target, girl.
That's right. That's right.
Second of all, who cares? But that was just so eye-opening that a 5-year-old is getting ridiculed for wearing Target clothes. Mm-hmm. And then that became like a lesson of, okay, well, one, you have to learn how to stand up for yourself. But two, also, what are some things we can do to kind of protect our kids? And, it was just that, thankfully, we found, there was another school district that was up and coming, so we were able to move and actually buy a house. Get another episode, but good schools, good everything there. But where people did shop at Target and Walmart and Ross and thrift stores and more of our people.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's really hard for kids because that early it starts getting programmed in their heads of name brand. Mm-hmm. How dare you shop at that? And we just as parents have to really tell them it's not about the clothes.
Right, exactly.
It's about who you are as a person.
Yes, absolutely.
So we did food, we did clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Shelter will be a whole other topic.
That's going to have to be a whole other
because
episode.
I know you guys are kind of dealing with that. Courtney and her husband are dealing with that.
Yep.
Lots of people dealing with that, especially in this economy.
Mm-hmm.
But then we start talking about, okay, what about things that are outside of food, clothing, and shelter?
Right.
Where you kind of have to have them. Like we live in rural Virginia.
Right.
We have to have a vehicle.
Yeah.
So talk about, like, we lived in Tucson for a long time and there was public transportation.
Oh, yeah.
So do you remember, we didn't always make you guys take the bus.
No.
But if you live in a place, we had, tell them about you and your brother sharing a vehicle.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we did. We shared a vehicle. So there were times where I think he was still taking like college classes, I guess, probably. And
dual enrollment.
Yeah, and so he would drop me off at work so that I didn't have to take the bus to work. He would drop me off at work and then take the car to go to school. And then when I got off work, he probably wasn't done with his class yet. Or he'd have to go to his own job or something like that. All I know is that then I didn't have to take the bus home. And that was, I don't know. There's something real humbling about being dropped off at work by your little brother.
Or the time when there was a minor fender bender.
Oh, yeah.
And the car had to be repaired and you both had to take the bus.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rough. Yeah. I even remember when I was dating Dustin and I would take the bus to the other side of Tucson. And
just to see him.
Just to go see him. I mean, I was on that bus longer than sometimes I would be hanging out with him. But man, young love. But yeah, I mean, it was that or I didn't get to see him. And so, I was saving up my money to buy a car and
it worked though.
It ended up working out. You could do it.
It's not food, clothing, and shelter. Your job provided those things and you had to have a way to get there.
Exactly.
So we had to be creative.
Yep.
Again, family of, by then 8.
Right,
because your twins had been born by then.
Yep.
We couldn't just chauffeur you guys around.
Yeah.
Because we had work.
Right.
And, so those compromises, if you have public transportation, it works. Like Cody was 17.
Yeah.
Taking the bus across Tucson.
Yeah.
You were 18. So it's not an ideal thing to do, but
absolutely.
It worked.
Yeah.
But I laugh, you bring up Dustin, and that kind of reminds me of the ring you're wearing. His idea, and at some point we need to just have Dustin on so he can defend himself. But how old was he when you met him? 22? 22.
20? Oh,
20?
I don't even know.
I don't remember.
How old was I?
18, 19?
I think 19. I
think
want to say
so.
19.
Yeah.
And he's 2 years older than me, so
he's
21.
just 21.
21, yeah.
He was not always Mr. Conservative money guy.
No, he was not.
Which
He'll be
tells
the first...
us we can have growth.
Absolutely. He'll be the first to say this, so I don't feel bad kind of throwing him under the bus.
We got him to sign a waiver. It's okay to share.
He'll be the first to say it. He got his first big boy job, right? And he said within a year he bought 3 motorcycles.
Gosh.
And I said, that's the man for me.
Yeah. He's financially irresponsible. He has 3 motorcycles. He also, what did he tell us? He was on a music. He was going for a music degree and got financial aid.
Oh,
so
yeah.
logically, he should use a student loan to buy
a guitar. My boy bought a guitar with his student loans. Can you believe that? This guy.
So financially irresponsible, 3 motorcycles, long hair.
Oh my goodness.
And plays guitar.
Long curly hair.
Checked all those boxes.
Check. Oh, he was so cute. But in just a short period of time, we did see some good financial choices, right?
Thankfully.
Where is that first motorcycle of his?
You're wearing it.
That's right. He did, though. He sold that motorcycle so he could buy my ring.
Yep.
And so he just started maturing. He started seeing things for what they really were.
He did.
Started seeing priorities. And he realized that maybe 3 motorcycles wasn't necessary. He didn't even have a car. He literally didn't even have a car.
In Tucson, Arizona, where it's like 110 degrees every day in the summer.
Yeah, he was driving around on motorcycles forever. I remember that. It was lots of date nights were just driving around on a motorcycle. And that's fun, but helmet hair is not that cute.
No.
So.
But then he continued to be financially irresponsible because his next need was, what, a Z?
It was a
Nissan Z.
A 350Z.
Yeah.
Yep. Which was just also so fun. There's nothing like getting cramped in that teeny tiny little car and going for a ride. But a fun story with the 350Z, though, is that on our wedding day, my sweet boy, could not find my ring. And so him and one of his groomsmen hopped in that 350Z very legally, raced across the town.
Which, if you've ever been in Tucson, there's no freeway to get you across town. It's all
not conveniently
through streets with stoplights.
Right. A million stoplights.
And September, the old people had returned. Sorry.
Yes.
The snowbirds?
Snowbirds? Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Lots of people in Tucson that time of year.
Lots of people. Yeah. So it was
at 4-ish in the afternoon.
Yeah. Around the time people are out doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so, unbeknownst to me, this boy can't find the ring. He goes driving back to the apartment that I had already gotten all set up for us because I moved in first, right? Got our apartment all set up. And so we had just finished kind of moving in all of his stuff. So the apartment was a mess. Apparently him and his friend go driving back there. They go looking for the ring. They can't find it. They're like, I guess we'll go back for the wedding that's happening soon. While that's going on, I'm just having my own bride
wedding day normal.
Wedding day, just normal.
Well, and here's how it went.
Yeah.
You know, the groomsmen and, you know, I guess just me, and then I had the twins with me.
Yeah.
You know, because I think they were ring bearers.
They were my little ring bearers.
And so we're just hanging out with the groomsmen.
Yeah.
And we see Dustin just like kind of going around, and the place had like a little guys hangout.
Yeah.
With the pool table and all the TVs and all that.
All the fun stuff.
See him going like through his backpack, emptying the whole thing. See him going somewhere else, emptying this bag. Like just going around outside, back inside. And finally I was like, what's going on? He's like, I can't find my ring. I'm like, wait, I thought Steven was supposed to have it. He goes, yeah, I hadn't given it to him yet because he's irresponsible. I'm like, okay, perfect.
Good thing you didn't give it to the irresponsible one.
So then I was like,
sorry,
no.
Steven.
And then your mom's already stressing. You're stressing just because it's your wedding day.
Yeah.
And I had to go tell your mom. I'm like, so just so you know,
yep.
Dustin's driving back across town, 40-ish minutes.
Don't worry, it didn't take him 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He very legally got there way faster.
Yeah, legally got there. Because he thinks he left the ring at their apartment. And your mom's like, are you serious?
And everyone was like, don't tell Corinne. Don't tell Corinne. Don't tell Corinne.
Everybody like, and I don't think it was your maid of honor. Right? She was kind of like your protector.
Yes.
Tori was just like, nothing bad is going to happen to Corinne. I'm her bubble.
Yes.
I'm doing everything.
Yep.
your younger brother, your oldest brother, but younger, who
can name drop.
I think he had to work.
Who? Cody.
Cody.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. We always laugh because he's taller than you.
Listen, they're all taller.
A year and a half younger.
They're all taller than me.
But he comes in and he's like,
he goes, "Where's Dustin?"
Yeah.
Sweet boy did not get the memo that we weren't telling Corinne anything. He had no idea Dustin was even gone.
And I still remember
where's Dustin?
everybody in your room just like pale,
Cody!
staring at him, and you're just like, wait, what?
I was like, sorry, what do you mean, where's Dustin? What do you mean, where's Dustin?
And you look at everybody's face.
And everyone's just like, Corinne, nothing bad is happening.
And you're
Everything's
like,
okay.
Where is Dustin?
Oh my gosh. So then my panic is now setting in. I'm like, if anyone's having a dramatic exit of this wedding, it will be me. He better not be bailing right now.
Yeah. So I don't know where the
irresponsible. The point of all that to say,
yeah.
That the 350Z was fast. That was really.
It was really
what started
fast.
All of it.
And now the boy who is financially responsible drives a.
Oh, now he drives a Ford Focus
with 100 and
so many miles.
100 and lots of thousand miles.
A lot. Yeah, a lot of 1,000 miles. But
like 40 miles a gallon.
Yeah.
Totally opposite. So what I'm getting at is,
hold on. The ring was at the location. The
right.
ring was on the table. It's important that I at least get that out. It was standing there. His mother,
the entire time.
My sweet mother-in-law, okay, she walks into the room and she's like, I can't believe he can't find. And then just picks it up right from it was just on the counter. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So
yeah.
Everything was actually totally fine. I think he may have been a little nervous for his own wedding, though.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Maybe he was feeling a little bit of stress and anxiety there.
That's right. A few times in his life.
A few times, yep.
But what I was getting at
anyway.
is we can start off making really poor decisions, thinking it's a need.
Yeah.
When it was more of a want.
Yeah.
And you can still be happy. You can make your choices. You can get way ahead financially like he did. You can decide, you know what? This girl is more important than the motorcycle. Accurate. And having a reliable, very good car with good gas mileage is more important than having my Z.
Yep.
Also, how could I get a car seat in that Z?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that was really finally what. Actually, I think he drove me to the hospital when I was giving birth to Aurora in the Z.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, don't worry, that really, really bumpy car really helped with that, with labor.
Yeah. So cars are kind of a need.
They are.
But the kind of car is not a need.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine, and they're on a budget, right? They're trying to be financially responsible. And they were like, but we need a truck, right? And there was a lot of back and forth on whether or not should we just get a used truck, right? Or should we get a new truck? Mm-hmm. And it was kind of very back and forth. And I remember watching her kind of weigh the pros and cons. And it was like, well, if we get a new truck, at least we'll know that it's newer. We'll have the whole life of the truck, right? And so I think that was wise to watch her kind of go through that decision making. But I think that's something that you kind of have to do is like, even if you are stuck in a position where you need to get a new car, you can spend money, but do it wisely.
Right. And probably another episode. Sorry, Courtney. We're just throwing out more probably vehicles. Maybe, I don't know if it would have to be a full episode.
Yeah.
Maybe we talk about debt on that episode.
Oh, yeah.
Jot that down. But one thing that, again, Dave Ramsey probably has good intentions. Mm-hmm. At least he makes a lot of money with these good intentions.
Which is fine because the people that need Dave Ramsey are just overflowing with money.
Yeah,
right?
They have so much excess money that they can afford to pay him $120 for his courses.
It totally tracks.
But I've seen people just get so angry and really stop following any of his advice because he's just like, well, buy a junker.
Yeah.
Take public transportation. Mm-hmm. Well, in Virginia, where we live, there is no public transportation.
There's nothing.
Unless you're in Richmond or Williamsburg or Newport News.
Yeah.
In our part of the Virginia, you can't take public transportation. So that's out. Virginia also, much to our chagrin, probably it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But they have annual safety checks. Mm-hmm. Every year you have to take your car in, and they go through this thing. If your windshield wipers are old, you fail.
Yeah. That was like a culture shock for me when we moved here. I was like, hold on. I bought my first car, $2,000 cash, and it was a terrible car.
It would not have passed inspection.
0% chance that it would have passed. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of crazy when I moved here, and I was like, hold on, you have to have a functioning car to drive it.
You have to have tread on your tires, and
That's asking a bit
like,
much, I think.
I mean, and they go through everything.
Yeah.
My car that I brought from Arizona, it had a brow tint. Apparently, it was 2 inches too long.
Yeah.
And they failed my inspection because it was dangerous. But what I'm getting at is in Virginia, it is physically impossible if your car dies and you have to get to work. You're spending a minimum $7,000 to $10,000 for a used car.
Yeah.
And that's one with 200,000 miles on it. Like,
Right.
you cannot find a car that will pass inspection in Virginia. So
Yep.
there's things you have to do is say, well, one, I'm in financial straits and I don't have $7,000 to $10,000 cash.
Yeah.
So what's the best use of my money?
Right.
And depending on, when you're watching this, interest rates might be high, they might be low.
Mm-hmm.
There's trade-offs. Like for a while, we had interest rates after COVID at close to 0% if you had decent credit, or 2%.
Yeah.
If a bank wants to lend you money on a car at 2%, and as long as you're not overspending, that's something that, Dave Ramsey will say never do, but we're like, sometimes life gets in the way, and you have to do that. So walking through that process, we'll talk about that in a different episode, but that need, you have to get to work, because how do you get food, clothing, and shelter without a job?
Exactly.
And if Dave Ramsey wants you to have 2 jobs or 3 jobs,
Right.
you're not going to be able to take public transportation. Because I just remember, your hour commute across town was actually 2 hours because of the bus schedules.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yes. That's probably why it took me so long to get from one end of town to the other, is because of all of the stops. And it also wasn't it wasn't the fastest
route. There was no freeway.
route.
There was no
exactly.
HOV lane.
Yeah, exactly. And so.
Yeah. So I think determining a car's technically a need, wanting a Z, or in my case, wanting a Mustang.
Yep.
That was, and again, I got wise and sold it.
Yeah.
And all that. But, we can overcome our mistakes.
Absolutely.
And just kind of reprioritizing when life happens, and changing your needs. And, so vehicles kind of has to be, depending on your situation, also in that food, clothing, shelter, asterisks, vehicles to pay for food, clothing, and shelter.
Right, exactly.
The other thing we kind of touched on earlier is more of a human need, which is variety and entertainment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that was one thing that I think that because of my money personality being what it is, which is that it'll work out, the Lord will provide, right? I think that that's definitely part of it, but also because you guys were so good about, you never made us, at least me, you never made me feel like, oh gosh, we have to be super, super strict. You guys found a lot of ways to give us a lot of the fun entertainment stuff, right? Like, you guys were very intentional about saving for a yearly vacation, whatever it ended up being. But there were other things. I just wrote some of them down. And like, we'd have nights where we did dinner at the park, where we'd bring our bikes and a couple sandwiches, and that's fun. Like, ask any kid if they want to have dinner at home at the table or at a park. They're going to pick a park. Yeah, we're going to fully want to do a picnic at a park. Even if the dinner itself is not as, like, luxurious. If it's a PB&J, but it's at the park versus a nice, warm, cooked meal at the table.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're going to pick PB&J in the park pretty much every time. My kids do.
I know. And bonus, it was actually a cheaper meal. So you guys didn't know that. It was like, whew, money's tight. PB&J at the park tonight.
See? And to me, anyway, I was just like, we are having a sweet special night. Yeah.
And extra bonus.
Yep.
Kids get worn out at the park, and
absolutely.
Showers, bed, easy night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a sweet deal for the kids and for the parents. So.
And it takes care of an unknown need. That's not food, clothing, shelter. It's that variety and entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think just being creative. Is important. And
you're making memories, having fun.
Yep. And since COVID, I don't like going to the movie theater anyways.
I mean, fair.
But we used to do, like, was it Tuesday or Wednesday night was dollar night at the movies?
Something like that. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore. But one thing that I do remember, at least since COVID and probably before that, is when you would do the theater nights at home.
Yep. We could bring now, the TVs like this TCL we have in our conference room here, maybe $200 on Prime Day.
Yeah.
Put a folding table outside, set it outside.
Yep.
Go to Walgreens or CVS or Walmart and buy the cheap candy.
Yeah.
And say, hey guys, movie night.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe cost us $10.
Right. And it doesn't even have to be outside either. You literally just do it in the living room.
Yeah.
We'll do that sometimes. We'll throw down a couple blankets on the floor. All of a sudden it's special, and a picnic dinner as well. Not dinner, but like we'll grab candy, popcorn. We're all on the floor eating together, watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's not you have to sit at the table to eat your food. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
It gets to be fun.
Just
and
make
special.
it interesting for them, and you don't have to spend the money. And
we did one where we did it in a fort. I set it up.
Nice.
I was leaving. I set up. We put a fort, and we made it so that the TV managed to be inside the fort.
Nice.
And I said, Dustin, have fun with these sugar-filled children. I'm out.
But they probably every time you're gone now want
they
Daddy
love it.
to do a fort.
They really do. They ask for a fort every time.
That's great. And like there's all kinds of things. I remember ABC Family, which I don't think is a thing anymore.
So.
Christmas time they did a marathon of.
I remember that.
You do remember this?
Yes.
We drug out. Well, Mom and I drug out our mattress because
Yeah.
we're not sleeping on the floor. We're too old.
Yeah, right.
But we got sleeping bags,
Yeah.
blankets, pillows, and we literally were like, we're going to do an all-nighter.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch the ABC Family Christmas, and it was like all the animated stuff, the claymation.
Yes.
I do remember because we still have this tape. This is how old we are. Also you, I guess, because you were alive then.
I remember it, yeah.
We had our VCR going with like 240-minute tape.
Yeah.
And while we were still awake,
Yes.
we'd pause during commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, Mom and I were thinking, we're going to create our own free Christmas tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, by the way, is still around. If only we had a VCR.
We still have it. I'm like, we just got to find a VCR.
I know. And then it's funny, but when everybody finally crashed.
Yep.
Because now we have commercials at the end of this tape.
Which is kind of cute to look back on,
Yeah.
though, and look at all those old commercials.
Yeah, but it's like, it's a core memory, and it literally
is.
cost us $0.
Yeah.
Sleepless night for Mom and I.
Right.
But $0. Like,
yeah.
just find variety.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's, not to make light of it, but it's almost more fun.
Yeah.
Versus, do you remember, going to see, I don't even know what movie we would have seen in theaters.
The answer is no.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, so your kids will appreciate more Mom and Dad going out of the way to make it a special night.
Yep.
Versus, let's go spend, now $50 for family of 4 at the theater.
At least.
It's
At least.
just ridiculous.
It is.
And, kind of, we didn't talk about this. You and your husband have debates on streaming services, needs or wants.
Stay-at-home mom, okay? I say that's a need.
Yeah. And especially now that they're cracking down on us sharing our password with you guys.
Oh, no. I can't mooch off
Yeah,
your guys'
I know.
passwords as much.
And I've always been one, I'm a sports fan, as you know, unfortunately. Your
Yep.
brother also. So sports are important.
Yeah.
So I've always had, to me, that's borderline need.
Yeah.
But there's free ways to get it.
Mhm.
When we're camping, our antenna will actually get for like 20-some free channels.
Dad? Camping.
Okay. It's
you
outdoors.
said antenna? You said antenna. So camping.
Well, okay. We have a bathroom. We have heat. We have a nice bed. But
it's glamping, and I'm
Okay.
here for it. Don't get me wrong.
It is.
You can't say camping and antenna in the same
But-
sentence.
But what was eye-opening, because I had never lived anywhere or been at a place where having cable TV back in the olden days
Yeah.
wasn't to
The
me a
olden days.
need. But it was funny taking your brothers, who are, again, we said in another episode, they live with different parents.
Yes.
They don't remember the tight times family of 8.
Right.
They remember our business finally took off after
Yeah.
21 years of building it,
Mm-hmm.
family of 4,
Yes.
and not really having to do the sacrifice. They didn't do, I don't think they've ever eaten at Denny's, honestly.
No, that they have.
But, which I loved it. Like, Denny's is great.
Denny's is great.
At least I remember it being great.
I remember it being great as well. I don't know if I'd feel the same way as
Yeah.
an adult.
But they don't remember that.
Yeah.
But it was eye-opening to me in that when we went, COVID, we were one of those people that were like, we should start RVing
Yeah.
because we're stuck in the house. Let's do something fun.
Mm-hmm.
And figuring out this antenna thing that was on the roof. And I just remember while Mom and I were making dinner, like you would scan for channels, and there's all these channels, again, all free to people who live in Richmond or in Virginia
Yeah.
Beach or Denver or Tucson, wherever. You get all these channels on your antenna free of charge, other than the cost of the antenna.
Right.
And they're like, oh my gosh, what's this home improvement show?
They had never seen.
They had
Home
never seen
Improvement.
Home Improvement. They're like,
Oh
this
my
show is
gosh.
great. They'd never seen Family Matters. They'd heard of Urkel from social media.
Oh my goodness.
Like
Sweet
all these
boys.
shows.
Yep.
And they were just like, 7 o'clock. Back to us, it was like Roughing It.
Yeah.
Free TV. They're like must see TV. I gotta catch, what we just was normal for you kids.
Yeah.
But simple things.
How do they handle the commercial breaks?
They just
Not
would go and like
fast-forwarding it.
gather firewood and like, not being able to fast
Yeah.
forward. And but to me, it was eye opening of here's these kids who really didn't understand a tight budget,
Yeah.
enjoying free TV.
I don't know. I
Like
love that.
I think we as parents sometimes overthink
Oh,
what
100%.
what our kids need
Yeah.
versus let's just give them something different and variety. And there's
Yeah.
kids are very simple.
They really are. There was this one time, I think it was, honestly, it had to have been a year at least ago. But I was wanting to put together like a really fun game night for the kids. And I was like, let's go to like this mini golf place. We'll hit up the arcade. And I was talking it over with Justin, and he was like, where are we going to put this in the budget? Like, where do you find that? Where do you see that money in the budget?
Yeah.
Because I don't see it, right? And I was like, well, it shouldn't be that expensive. And he was like, well, let's look it up. So we got on the website and we looked it up. I'm like, it was going to be like $100 or something crazy for us all to go and do the mini golf and do all the arcade games themselves. You know what I mean? And so I was like, yeah, but like, think about it, Duck. Like, what about like laser tag and other fun stuff, right? And I don't know why I said laser tag, and I was like, wait, that reminds me. I saw this thing on Pinterest, and basically like you get yarn or something and you tie it all around your house and you kind of create your own laser grid.
Oh.
And
Like in the movies where they're like
doing
yeah.
like the Mission Impossible stuff, right? And so we set that up in our living room, and one of us got like whoever wasn't going through the maze, everybody else got like a little squirt bottle or
how
squirt
fun.
gun, and it did get a lot of water on my floors, but it's fine.
You have wood floors.
It was
so it's
we
fine.
got wood floor. It was fine.
Yeah.
It really was fine, and it was so fun. And she still asks to do that sometimes.
I love that.
And I was like, dang that, like, I almost took us to just this place where we could have spent way more money than
Yeah.
all the yarn and squirt bottles that we have in the house for completely free, and for such a better memory than, I don't know that I've taken her to go to mini golf a couple times, and she recalls the mini golf that we do on our RV trips
Yeah.
far more than any other mini golf place that we've ever done.
And the RV trips for you guys were free because it's all part of the RV park.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the free stuff she remembers more.
Yes, I think that's really interesting for kids, that the stuff that we're intentional about, where we're having that specific quality time with them.
Yeah. And
Doesn't
I think
have to cost a lot of money.
love languages could probably be another money talk.
Oh yes.
But even
definitely.
kids who aren't quality time
Yeah.
and gifts, that is a gift to them.
It is.
And
Yeah.
and so they'll remember you going out of your way.
Yep.
But going back to streaming services,
Yeah. Sorry.
because
Go
this
back.
is no, you're good. We looked at Prime as again, we live in rural Virginia.
Yeah.
It's a 30-minute drive to the closest Walmart for us. Yours is a little
Yeah.
bit closer.
Yep.
That's
It's
a lot
still-
of gas. That's a lot of time. Amazon Prime to us more than pays for the gas.
Easily. Yeah.
So to me, that's a no-brainer. If you actually use it fiscally responsibly, Prime Video is basically free.
Right. I mean, Dustin and I, we also use it. Sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
you're
like
good.
we also use it, and then whatever points we get up or whatever.
Oh yeah,
that
you
we
have the
build
Prime
up,
card that you pay off.
Yes, we pay it off, and we will use those points for our Christmas budget.
Yeah.
So,
It not only covers your Prime membership,
right. Easily.
because you guys buy the essentials,
Mm-hmm.
pay off that card every month. You
Yep.
have it set, and we've talked about this before. Maybe it was on a different finance nerd video. But anyways, credit cards are fine. Another
Yeah.
video. We'll do this on the debt one.
Yeah.
But if you set it to pay off the full balance every month and you get
Yeah.
points like that on Amazon, it pays for your guys' Prime membership
Prime membership.
and all your Christmas presents.
At least half of them.
Yeah.
Like it pays for a lot of them. Yeah. And
And
so,
you get free streaming.
exactly.
Yep. So
It
that
is I will say that's That was a very financially wise decision. I think
Yeah.
is getting
And so
Prime.
it's not like, oh my gosh, we're spending $29 a year.
Yeah.
You guys are making it work,
Mm-hmm.
and that becomes a free service. I mentioned
Yeah.
if you live in an area, even where we're at rural Virginia, I'm pretty sure you get 20 or 25 channels if you have an antenna.
Okay.
Those antennas might cost you a one-time cost of $100.
Yeah.
There's enough. There's kids shows. When we took your kids camping and they were like, can we watch a show? And we're like, we're not. But then we're like, well, we got to get some work done.
Right.
PBS Kids was free. Like, it was on the antenna.
Oh, that's
Free.
they love that.
Free television.
Anytime we go to like a doctor's office or something and there's PBS Kids, they're like, this is amazing.
Yeah. So finding ways so that you don't necessarily have to spend money on streaming.
Yeah.
If you have anybody in your family who's a sports guy, I'm going to plug YouTube TV.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Because what a fantastic deal. I don't know who would ever pay for cable anymore as long as you have
Right.
good internet.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read their fine print. I'm pretty sure, counting us, you have 5 people who can log in.
Oh, okay.
So you don't use it very often.
I really don't.
You have it.
Yep. I think anytime like motocross.
Yeah, motocross.
motorcycle
Dustin
stuff
can
will-
use it for motocross.
That's right. We'll watch that.
Courtney and Ryan can use it to watch hockey.
Hockey. Yep.
So me they allow shared logins.
Love that.
So
I love when we can do it legally.
I know, yeah. I mean, there's no crackdown on it. Google
Yeah.
wants you to invite 4 other people on
That's
your
awesome.
account to watch it. Yeah. And for us, I got the sports package, all that. We're paying way less than we ever did on cable.
Nice.
And all we're now paying the cable company for is internet. And so it's been very reliable. Something that technically isn't free for us, but if you know, again, a sports family who has to have that,
Yeah.
get them to get YouTube TV and then say share it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other cool thing, again, free streaming, is it has a DVR.
Nice.
So if you want to record The Office,
Which you should.
yes, you'll still
Always.
have commercials, but you can fast forward those commercials.
That's right.
And so you could keep 30 episodes of The Office. Yeah. We have like 10 Premier League soccer games, football, whatever, for all those soccer fans out there, football. But my Broncos can be recorded. Like,
Yeah.
not quite free streaming, but very fiscally responsible streaming. So
Yes.
the other ones, don't get me started on all the other things. We should get your brother on to talk about that.
Oh, for sure.
Because he'll go on a rant.
He will.
But he's also a sports guy. But YouTube TV, if you know somebody who likes sports, say, hey, you want to get that and maybe add me to your family?
Add me in
Because
there.
it is legal and it is free to you then.
That's right. Yeah.
To use. So streaming, I guess, kind of a need in today's society, but you can do it
Yeah.
with much less money. And like I said, not at all if you get an antenna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just like that's one of those one-time costs, and that's not terrible.
No,
so.
it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
So I think food, clothing, shelter, entertainment, personal needs.
One more entertainment thing was something that we did for years.
Oh, no, don't.
Dad, you know it's gonna come up
Every time.
every time. Go-karts.
Okay.
You guys raced, and it was fun, and it was great, and it gave us so many fun memories.
It did.
It was an expensive hobby, though.
It was a very expensive
Apparently,
hobby.
I wasn't a part of that part.
Yeah, and this is again, I don't like scripting anything, so this
Yeah.
let my brain go to where I wanted to close it, which was when you start having more income,
Yeah.
it is easy to then overdo it on once.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd always wanted to race.
Yeah.
My grandpa built us, actually he built his kids a go-kart.
Aw.
And then he let us do it, and he carved a track out in a field behind his house.
That's so
I grew
cute.
up in rural Colorado. So we raced all the time. He had motorbikes, and so that was in me, and I loved motor racing. And we got to this season where the business hit a nice spurt.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years in a row, we had a nice chunk of excess money,
Nice.
and we'd paid off our debts.
Yep.
And we're like, well, I've always wanted to go racing.
Yeah.
And your brother loved racing,
Mm-hmm.
to the point of he had the local track, they were his heroes
Yes.
at the local track.
Yep.
And long story short, we got into go-kart racing.
Yep.
And first it was me and your brother,
Mm-hmm.
and then your younger brother got old enough to do it.
Yep.
But you guys helped us on the pit crew.
Loved that.
And it was a great bonding time.
It was.
Your brothers learned how to tear down the whole go-kart themselves.
Yeah.
do maintenance,
Yeah.
oil change. Like, it was great.
Yep.
But then all that excess money
Yeah.
that we thought would be there forever, business goes through a slowdown.
Mm-hmm.
Economy goes in garbage.
Does what the economy does.
It does what the economy does. And your mom starts saying, why are we taking money out of our budget for this? And what was a want kind of became a need.
Yeah.
And you just remember, like,
Listen.
you remember the day I posted them on Facebook Marketplace.
It was like a knife in my heart, Dad. Because like while I wasn't one of them racing, I loved helping out with it in the garage in more of like a fun sense, not so much like an actually doing the work kind of sense.
But you
I
did
loved
really good
hanging out
work.
with you. I mean, I did a little bit of work.
Yeah.
I had fun doing the stickers on the cart and the making it shiny and clean, right? I didn't like the part where it got my hands all greasy and gross. But I liked being out there with you guys. I mean, even if I wasn't doing anything, even if I was literally just sitting on
The
a
stool.
stool, I liked that time together. I liked when we would go to the track, and I liked hanging out with all the other kids, even some of the other adults, right? Like, for the longest time, one of your friends, Kevin, was like one of my
Best friend.
he was like my favorite person, right? I liked working in the little food snack bar area, right? So it was years of like good memories for me too. And so yeah, I remember when you guys, I didn't hear all those behind the scenes, you know, of like, well, business is slowing down and everything else is getting, you know, expensive and whatnot. And so it is the financially responsible decision to sell the carts, right? I was just like, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you sell the carts?
Yeah. and that's, you know, that was a time where, unlike the other free examples,
Yes.
it did create a tremendous bond.
Yeah.
We had no idea how expensive it was.
Yeah.
Simple things like, hey, just before this state championship race tomorrow,
Yeah.
we're going to do I don't think they called it powder puff, but basically like a pit crew race.
Right. Yeah.
And it was for everybody who hadn't raced before.
Yes.
So
I said, here's my time to shine.
Yep. So you hop in your brother's cart. He's
Yep.
competing for the state championship the next day. Mom hops in my cart.
Yeah.
And they give you some practice laps. And our words to you were,
Listen, you just said just go out there and have fun. And I said, you want to know how I'm gonna have fun, Dad? I've never taken a race, but I'm gonna win this race.
that's right. And Kevin's daughter, who had raced before,
Yes.
you were doing
She
great
was
till
so
she passed
good.
you.
Yeah, and then I was like, how? No, I'm gonna win. Granted, you've done this before. You know what you're doing. And so I make a bad choice to pass her on a turn, which isn't the way to do it.
Fully on the gas.
Fully on the gas. And it's a dirt track, and I spun out or whatever.
Well, you spun out after you slammed into the wall
Yeah, first I slammed into the wall or whatever, Dad.
and bent pretty much the whole side of the cart,
So
including the axle
So the axle was bent.
and the wheels
And the wheels.
and the motor mount.
Who even uses those things in a cart, though, honestly?
With, again, your brother competing for the state championship the next
Yeah,
day.
but that's like tomorrow's problem.
It was like a $750.
It's really
I'm going to
expensive.
win this race. Like that. That's stuff like that. Like
I had no chance of winning. As an adult looking back on it,
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, Corinne, you had some high hopes.
But it could have been a worse night because not only do we have to stay up all night and find all those parts to replace it,
yeah.
your mom came out of turn 4
Yep.
and somehow did a perfect 360.
It was stunning. It was beautiful.
And then shortly after that, you put it in the wall. But
I did.
It was something that we had no idea getting into it. We were just like, we have all this excess money.
Yeah.
Here's the upfront cost, and here's what it costs to race every week.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody said, hey, if you accidentally put it in the wall, that's $750.
Yeah, which is
Like,
crazy.
Yeah, it
Crazy.
fun memories, but
Yeah.
even financial advisors can be fiscally irresponsible once in a while.
Hey, wait, whatever happened? What did you guys do? Did Cody get to race the next day?
He did. He got second place in state.
Oh, nice. See, that's where the story ends in my memory.
Yeah, well, you got to
I
meet the
crashed it.
firefighters, the
That's
paramedics.
exactly right. Yes, that's right. They weren't that cute, which was disappointing.
It was very disappointing.
I remember that. I remember being like, Dad, then the firefighter guys weren't even cute.
They weren't in shape either.
They weren't even like good looking.
Yeah.
How old was I in this? I was a
You
teenager.
were probably 15.
I was right in that age
Yeah.
where it was.
Firefighters were like,
They were like, shoot.
yeah. But it was. And
Bummer.
We're totally like, I don't know if anybody even cares about this anymore, but what I'm getting at is be careful when
Mhm.
you've taken care of the needs and you do have excess money.
Yeah.
don't go overboard, because other episodes we need to talk about is, let's get past, oh my gosh, money's tight, how am I going to make it till next week,
Right.
to how do I get to a point where I don't necessarily worry about money.
Yeah.
And that's what we do every day. That's why I love my job. That's why I bash Dave Ramsey, because he intends to do that, but the way he
Right.
does it does not work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So we need to start really, and I don't even know how long we've gone. Tie it off here.
Yeah.
Talk about then, okay, now that we've taken care of needs and wants, where do we start to try to get ahead so we don't end up back where we are?
Right, exactly.
So next time, I guess.
Yeah, next time.
All right, let's go.
Crush it.